There is an old belief, older than anyone can properly account for, that in ancient days the Lord himself sometimes walked the roads of the earth in disguise. Dust on his sandals, hunger in his stomach. No more remarkable to look at than any tired stranger asking for a bed. This is a story about one such night, and about how the space of a single evening can lay a person's entire soul out flat for anyone paying attention to read. He was walking near dusk, weary in the particular way that comes from a full day on foot, when the light began to fail faster than the road behind him. He needed an inn, or failing that, a door, any door, before the dark swallowed the path entirely. And that was when he came upon the two houses. They stood facing each other across the road, like two very different answers to the same question. On one side, a large, handsome house, freshly whitewashed, its windows glowing gold with lamplight, clearly the home of someone who wanted for nothing. On the other, a small, sagging place with a crooked roof, and a door that didn't quite close all the way, clearly the home of someone who wanted for everything. He thought, reasonably enough, I won't trouble the poor house. The rich man surely won't miss a single night's hospitality. And he knocked at the fine door first. A window opened above him. A man looked down, well-fed, comfortable, already faintly annoyed at being disturbed. What do you want? Only a night's lodging, the traveler said. I've come a long way, and it's grown too dark to go further. The rich man studied him. The plain, dust-caked clothes, the empty hands, nothing about him that suggested money or usefulness, and made a decision in about the time it takes to blink. No, my rooms are full of grain and seed. I can't be taking in every wanderer who knocks, or I'll be begging at doors myself soon enough. Try elsewhere. And the window shut, not slammed. That would at least have required some feeling. Just shut, quietly, the way you close a door on a draft. The traveler stood a moment in the deepening dark, looking at that closed window with no particular anger, only a kind of tired, ancient patience. The patience of someone who has knocked on this exact door, in one form or another, more times than he could count, and has learned not to be surprised. He crossed the road. He'd barely finished knocking on the crooked little door before it flew open. A man stood there, thin, work-worn, clothes patched more than not. And behind him, warm lamplight and the smell of something cooking on almost nothing. The man didn't ask what the traveler wanted. He didn't need to. One look told him everything. Come in, it's already dark. You'll go no further tonight. And he stood back to make room, as if the decision had never been a decision at all. Inside, the poor man's wife came forward at once, wiping her hands on her apron, taking the stranger's arm like she'd been waiting for him all evening. You'll forgive us, we haven't much, she said, already moving toward the fire. But what we have, you're welcome to every bit of it. And gladly. She set potatoes to boil. She went out to the goat shed in the near dark and milked what little the goat had left to give, so there'd be something to go with the meal. When she came back in, her hands were cold, and she didn't mention it once. They ate together at a table barely big enough for three. Coarse food, thin food, nothing that would have satisfied the rich man across the road. And the traveler found it was, without question, one of the best meals he'd had in a very long time. Not because of what was on the plate, because of the faces around it. When supper was done and the hour grew late, the wife drew her husband aside, speaking low so their guest wouldn't hear. Husband, let's make up a bed of straw for ourselves tonight, and give him our own bed. He's walked all day. He needs a proper rest more than we do. With all my heart, the husband said, as if she'd asked him something obvious, and went straight to make the offer. The traveler protested. Truly protested. said he couldn't take an old couple's bed and leave them on the floor. But they wouldn't hear a word of it, and in the end he gave in, because refusing them a second time would have hurt them more than accepting ever could. He slept in their bed. They slept on straw, on the ground, and by all appearances slept just fine. Before sunrise the next morning, the old woman was already up, coaxing what breakfast she could out of what little remained, determined that their guest would not leave hungry. When the light finally came through the small warped window, the traveler rose, ate with them once more, and made ready to continue on his way. But at the door he turned back. "You've shown me more kindness in one evening than most show in a lifetime," he said. "So, name 3 wishes, and they are yours." The old man didn't hesitate long. "What else could I ask for but this? Eternal happiness after this life? And for as long as we're both living, our health and our daily bread." He paused, turning something over in his mind. "That's 2 things really, though it feels like one. I don't rightly know what to ask for third." "Would you wish for a new house?" the traveler offered. "In place of this one?" The old man's whole face changed. "Oh, yes. Yes. If that's on offer too, I'd like that very much." And with that, the traveler blessed them both and went on his way down the road. And behind him, though neither of them saw it happen, only felt it happen, the way you feel weather change, the crooked, sagging little house became something else entirely. The sun was well up by the time the rich man finally rolled out of bed, and when he leaned out of his window to squint at the morning, he nearly fell straight through it. Where the wretched little hut used to stand, the eyesore he'd looked at every morning of his life without ever really looking at it, there now stood a bright new house, red tile roof, clean glass windows catching the sun like something out of a story. "Why?" he bellowed. "Wife, come here, tell me I'm not dreaming." She came, looked, and was every bit as baffled as he was. "Go and find out what's happened," he said. "Go now." So she crossed the road herself and knocked, and the poor man, now it seemed not quite so poor, told her plainly what had happened. A traveler had come asking for shelter the night before and been given it gladly, and in the morning had granted them 3 wishes as thanks: eternal happiness, health and daily bread for the rest of their days, and, since they were already at it, a new house. The rich man's wife ran back across the road so fast she nearly tripped over her own skirts, and gasped out the whole story to her husband, and something in the rich man simply broke. "I could tear my own hair out," he shouted, pacing, practically vibrating with fury at himself. That was him. That was the very same man who knocked at our door last night. And I sent him off like a beggar. "Then don't just stand there," his wife snapped. "Get on the horse, ride. You can still catch him. Ask for your own 3 wishes before he's gone too far." He didn't need telling twice. He was on his horse and thundering down the road before his wife had even finished the sentence, and it wasn't long before he spotted the traveler walking calm and unhurried up ahead, as if he'd known all along someone would come chasing after him. The rich man reined in beside him, all smiles now, all honeyed apology. He hadn't meant any offense the night before, truly. He'd simply been hunting for his front door key in all that clutter, and by the time he'd found it, the stranger had already moved on. Should he ever pass this way again, he was welcome, more than welcome, to stay as long as he liked. "If I come this way again," the traveler said mildly, "I will." The rich man pressed further. Could he too perhaps be granted 3 wishes, the way his neighbor had? "You may," the traveler said. And then, with a look the rich man was too pleased with himself to notice properly. "Though I'll tell you plainly, it will not go well for you. You'd do better to wish for nothing at all." The rich man laughed this off entirely. Nothing at all? What kind of man refuses free wishes? He was already certain he could think of something worth having, if only he had a moment's peace to consider it properly. Very well, the traveler said. Ride home. Whatever 3 things you wish for on the way shall be granted. And that right there was where everything began, quietly and invisibly, to go wrong. The rich man turned his horse for home, triumphant, already composing in his head the shape of the life he was about to build for himself. Gold, land, power maybe, something enormous, something that would make the neighbors, that smug little peasant across the road most of all, choke on their own envy. But thinking, it turned out, was harder than it looked with the restless horse underneath him. The animal kept tossing its head, sidestepping, breaking his concentration every time he almost had the shape of a wish in his hands. He patted its neck. Easy, Lisa. Easy, girl. The horse pranced sideways anyway, nearly throwing him from the saddle. He tried again to think. The horse pranced again, and on the third interruption, with his patience worn down to nothing, and his temper flaring hot and fast the way it always did when something small refused to behave, he snapped without a second's thought. I wish your fool neck was broken. The horse dropped beneath him like a puppet with its strings cut. Dead before it hit the ground. Gone. Just like that. One wish spent on nothing but a moment's ugly irritation. He sat in the road a long moment, staring at what he'd done. The silence around him suddenly enormous. Being the kind of man who couldn't stand to waste even a scrap of leather, he unbuckled the saddle and harness from the dead animal and slung it over his own back rather than leave it lying there, and set off walking the rest of the way home on foot, sweating under the weight of it. 2 wishes left, he muttered to himself, over and over, like a man trying to convince himself a bad day could still be salvaged. 2 left, that's still something. But the sun climbed higher, and the sand of the road grew hotter under his boots, and the saddle dug into his shoulders with every step, and still no wish worth having would come to him. Every idea he reached for collapsed the moment he examined it. Riches? He'd only end up wanting more the moment he had them. He knew himself well enough to admit that much, at least privately. He wanted something final. Something that would leave absolutely nothing left to wish for afterward, so no one, not fate, not his own greedy nature, could ever catch him wanting again. He walked and sweated and turned wish after wish over in his mind, and rejected every single one, and grew hotter and angrier with every mile. And then, unbidden, an image rose up in his head. His wife, at that very moment, sitting cool and comfortable in their front room, doing absolutely nothing, while he trudged through burning sand with a dead horse's saddle carving grooves into his back. It came out of him before he'd even decided to say it. Sharp, bitter, half a joke and half not. I wish she was sitting on this saddle right now, stuck fast to it, instead of me hauling it around like a pack mule. The saddle vanished from his shoulders instantly. For one blissful second he felt only relief. His back was free, the weight was gone, he could stand up straight again. And then the second wish caught up with him, and his stomach dropped. He ran the rest of the way home, threw open his own front door, already dreading exactly what he was about to see. And there she was, sitting in the middle of the parlor floor, on the saddle, unable to rise, tears streaming down her face, absolutely incandescent with rage. Just bear with it a little, he stammered, and I'll wish you all the riches on earth. Only stay as you are a moment longer. Let me think. What good, she screamed at him, are all the riches on earth to me if I have to sit on a saddle for the rest of my life? You put me here, now get me off. And so his third and final wish, the one he'd walked miles turning over in his mind, searching for something magnificent enough to be worth all his careful deliberation. was spent freeing his own wife from a curse of his own careless making. He was left, in the end, with nothing to show for the whole affair but a dead horse, an aching back, a furious wife, and the hollow echoing knowledge of exactly what he'd thrown away. Across the road, in their bright new house, the poor couple lived on. Quietly, gratefully, without ever once needing to wish for anything else at all.